Doug Ford is all about bringing costs down. So why is he putting policies in that are going to increase the cost, the frustration of everyday Ontarians? Hey, everybody, and welcome back, and welcome to 2026. And there's nothing better than ringing in the new year by forcing people back to the office 5 days a week when there's absolutely no need to. The mandates from the provincial government, good old Doug Ford's man of the people, is now forcing everybody in the public sector, in terms of the provincial government, back to the office 5 days a week. And he's also kind of forced or requested all the municipalities to do the same. Brampton, where I'm from, good Patrick Brown, who has absolutely no spine. He's more concerned about getting his wife to purchase properties in the downtown Brampton core in areas where there's going to be redevelopment, so they're going to make out goods, as opposed to fighting for the public sector workers. So he's also forcing those workers back to the office 5 days a week. Mississauga, who has a spine and a backbone, has said, kick rocks. No, we're going to leave it the way it is. Right now, we're going to have a hybrid workplace. They have their statistics right now is they have 80% of the public sector workers who already go 5 days a week on their own accords. And about 20% of them work minimum 3 days a week. And they let them decide, or their managers decide or figure out if it requires somebody to be in the office every day or how many days. That's the way it should be because it works. There's data, there's statistics that show the efficiencies have gone through the roof. With Doug Ford is, I feel, and that's what he says, I feel people work better in the office. And even the way he says it is, people need to get back to work, not people need to get back to the office. He always says people need to get back to work. That's subconsciously saying that he doesn't feel people are working at home. He doesn't trust you when you're working from home, even though your deliverables have proven that you're more efficient. He doesn't care. He's from the old school, where I need to see you at the desk in order for me to feel that you're doing your job. Don't worry about you taking long breaks, long lunches, pretending to work at your desk. You being at your desk is more than enough to show that you're working. Another reason of his is that he's concerned with those small businesses, small owners. I don't know how many small owners, small businesses there are in the downtown core, because he says they're hurting with people not coming into the office. I think it's a lot more the corporate offices that he's kowtowing to. But yes, there are probably some businesses there that rely on the traffic of people who go to work every day. I personally, I'm sorry, like I can empathize for your business failing, not failing, reduce income. However, why should a big portion of the population be forced to do something that doesn't make any sense anymore just to save your business? They have to deal with more traffic. They have to deal with long commutes, depending on where they live. They have to, their costs have now increased for traveling either by their car, parking, or mass transit, just to save your business. I'm sorry. I can empathize that your business is hurting, but this is not the way to save it. Not to make other people more miserable just so you can have an income. Either you pivot or you close up shop and do something else. And that's Doug Ford. He cares more about businesses than the actual people working at these firms. He's never been about the people, a man of the people. He always used to say he doesn't care because it's all about feelings. So I'm not the only one who says a lot of these excuses. Even the federal government is not mandating 5 days a week. They're still sticking with the 3 days a week hybrids. Because Mark Carney even knows this is stupid. And to cut costs, why bring people back that's going to require more office space, more money, more furniture, everything else, and then the increase in cost for people to have to travel back. He understands the best way to save money is to allow this hybrid work model. Doug Ford talks about saving money, yet he's going to spend more money to bring in people back into the office, more office space, furniture, and everything else. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's doing. So like I said, I'm not the only one who thinks this is a stupid idea, and these mandates are being brought in for the wrong reasons. It's all about feelings and perceptions. So, for example, let's take a look here. There's a great article in Forbes, and Forbes being a corporate magazine, investments, industry. They're all about money. They're all about money, and they know better. It's not some liberal or Marxist or communist website. They're capitalists. So they understand money better than anybody out there. So let's take a look. So here's an article, The Real Reasons Companies Are Forcing You Back to the Office, okay? This is published back in February 28, 2025, and it was updated on March 8th of 2025. So a few months ago, but these statements and these arguments still reign true with even other articles I found out in the out there. But this article is very well written. They went pros and cons to every argument. So let's start here. So in the real world, they're talking about, however, corporate decisions about where employees work, like so many other decisions pertaining to talent management and culture, are not always based on reason, let alone data and evidence. Doug Ford, I feel. In fact, most of the major motives underpinning organizational mandates to bring back workers to the office full time are influenced by factors including politics, culture, subjective opinions, and bias, and that are not positively linked to employee morale or productivity, or a logical objection to remote or hybrid working. All the data and all the statistics out there say working from home, hybrid work environments is more productive, more efficient than the mandate of 5 days a week. There's one reason why they're bringing people back. Many managers have difficulty evaluating productivity based on results alone. They're not good managers. A fundamental paradox of modern organizational life is that the more someone gets paid to do what they do, and the more skilled and senior they supposedly are, the harder it is to know if they are good at their job. In a world in which objective quantifications of value added are usually eclipsed by the politics of reputation, managing up and faking good, managers prefer to rely on visual cues, such as employees being at their desk, to gauge whether work is being done. If they can't see you, a lot of these managers don't know how to manage or to assess if a worker's good, which is not on the worker's fault. It's the manager's fault. They need to have a system to figure out if the worker's doing a good job or not. And deliverables. Are they doing a good job? Are they meeting the timelines, the quality of the work, and everything else? But a lot of these managers don't even know how to do that. As I say, the con, presence does not equal productivity. Employees may engage in performative work rather than meaningful output. Of course. So what if they're at their desk? They could be on YouTube, Instagram, emailing other colleagues, friends. I know some people who were doing personal family projects at work and not actually doing work. Over reliance on visibility can lead to micromanagement. I've been there. Somebody who was over my shoulder all the time, every step of the way, wouldn't let me do my work, frustrated me. This engages employees who feel they are not trusted to work autonomously. Been there too. Proximity bias means managers will be predisposed to evaluate employees more positively if they are at the office, are sucking up to their managers, which can be partly enabled by being at the office when others are not, assuming managers are actually at the office themselves, meaning political or office politics. How many of you out there know somebody who got a promotion not because of the work they did, because of who they knew or who they sucked up to, or how nice they were to the manager that gave the promotion? So many examples out there. The managers that are in the role that they are now are not because of what they know or the work that they did, was because of who they knew and who they sucked up to. Now, another reason that everybody's agreeing on. Many companies have long-term office leases that represent significant sunk costs. Others have invested even more on purchasing office real estate. To justify the expense, leaders insist that employees use the space. In short, bringing people back to the office, meaning we have it. It's a cost that's already been incurred. So to justify this cost, we have to use it. In order to have to use it, we have to bring everybody back. But now you've reduced the efficiency, the productivity of your employees. So doesn't matter. That cost is gone. It's irrelevant. But they feel they have to use it in order to justify it. In order to justify it, now they've lost productivity, and now they're going to be losing money and good employees when they find somebody else to work for that will allow them a hybrid model. As they state, a financial decision should not dictate work arrangements if it negatively impacts employee productive and well-being. Production. This argument may create resentment if employees feel they are commuting just to satisfy a sunk cost. Organizations value their real estate more than their talent or human capital. Yeah, forget you. You care more about the office than my productivity? I'm out. I'm out. Now, this one. They talk about all the time. Collaboration and teamwork. Oh my God, this one's such a BS. But let's go over it. Again, professional. They know what they're talking about. In-person work fosters easier and more spontaneous collaboration, reducing the friction of scheduling virtual meetings and allowing for informal brainstorming. I can understand that argument, where John Smith and Susie Smith, just across the way from each other, or cubicles or whatever. It's easier just to get up and go over and start talking and brainstorming when there's a problem, as opposed to scheduling a meeting. I still think that's bullshit, because with today's technology, with instant messaging, you don't have to schedule a meeting. You just instantly send them a message, and when they have a chance to get back to you, they will. The problem with this instantaneous collaboration is Susie comes over to John. John's in the middle of something. He's working. He's dealing with a problem. Susie comes over and starts asking questions. Doesn't say, do you have a second, whatever. Say, John, I have a problem with this, this, and this. So John has two choices. Either tell Susie to get the hell away from me because I'm busy and I have a deliverable that's due in the next 10 minutes. I don't have time for this. Or he could be nice because it's camaraderie. You don't want to be mean. You say, okay, Susie, what do you need? Now, he's screwed up. Okay? Because he's been bothered. And it's not Susie's fault. Sometimes people, they have a problem and subconsciously they just, I need help. Please help me. Not everybody has the common courtesy of saying, do you have a second? So collaboration can still be effective remotely with the right tools and practices. And in fact, online collaboration boasts knowledge sharing and cooperation beyond proximity bias and in-group silos, fostering diversity and inclusion. I know a lot of people hate that word, but Office environments can sometimes be distracting, reducing deep work, especially for introverts and neurodiverse individuals. We're going to get to, I think I don't know if it's in here, but there's people in the office sometimes will have noise canceling headphones so they don't get disturbed by everybody else. And they're all on Teams chat and video conferencing within the same office. So this is why people are upset. I'm coming to the office. I'm traveling to and from, spending hours in traffic to do the same thing I could be doing at home without the added cost of travel and the added time to my day. So lastly, she goes, assumes all work benefits from collaboration when some roles require more independent focus. In fact, the more you work requires more problem solving, analytical thinking, and attention to detail. The better off you are not being at the office. Interruptions. So here's another example of another website, Fortune, okay? They're capitalists. They're all about business, productivity, increased profits, okay? And in here, they're going to talk about what I was saying. This is where I read it. It's about the noise canceling headphones. So what's missing from some of these return to office plans is the recognition of a culture change, said Jennifer Moss, workplace strategist and author of Why Are We Here? Creating a work culture everyone wants. The post-pandemic workplace should combine lessons from the pre-pandemic and pandemic era models, she said. Hybrids. Can't go back to what we used to do because it doesn't work anymore. When we're trying to get people back into the office, we still are executing the office in the same way that it used to be, Moss told HR Brew. We just can't jam the toothpaste back in the tube. That's a great quote. Why are we going to go backwards? We know what we've done in the last 4 or 5 years works, and it works well. So why go back to the past? People are going into the office. Unfortunately, it feels very much like what it feels like to be at home, she said. You're still on Zoom, and you're still spending your day doing the exact same things you could be doing at home. It feels very arbitrary. If you're doing the same things at work as you were doing at home, the difference being is the travel time and the cost. Because your efficiency at home is higher because you don't have to deal with traffic to and from, and your costs are lower because you're not spending that on travels. Therefore, you have more money to spend on your family, your finances, everything else, which reduces stress. And the stress is also reduced on the less travel time. So the work is the same, but you're added extra roadblocks going to work with the travel time and the cost, where you don't have that at home. So that's why it's more efficient, and that's why they're more productive when they work from home. To facilitate this new era of work, employers should embrace a model Moss called the third office. Instead of pushing for employees to go back to pre-pandemic norms, she said, employers should consider how they can incorporate the benefits of remote work, like autonomy and flexibility. To that end, a hybrid approach, she said, typically works, and it does. And if it doesn't, then you bring them back to the office. That's why there's a hybrids. I'm not saying people should work at home full time, but working in the office full time when they can do the same thing at home should be an option. Now, as a lot of articles have stated, especially here in Ontario for Doug Ford, and they have no answer. All they say is, we're going to be okay. Is the office space? That's another problem that's going to add to the frustrations of the employees. They got rid of a lot of office space when they went to hybrid, and now they're reversing their decision on that. Again, feelings, all about feelings, nothing about facts. They haven't acquired enough office space to accommodate properly all the public sector workers to come back. Now, in a corporate environment, when you design an office, it is required. There's many factors of designing. Okay, and there's many measurements in the designs of an office space. Okay, one is exit capacity, how many people you can have on a floor to exit safely in case there's an emergency. And then there's design load capacity, how many people you can fit on a floor properly to accommodate the work that they're going to be doing. On normal corporates, design is 9.3 meters squared per person is required of floor space. And you're going to see, a lot of people have already seen this probably, is when they've gone back to the office, they don't have the same room that they used to pre-pandemic. The desks are closer. There's more desks per square foot than there used to be. The number of bathrooms hasn't increased. So you're going to have these bathrooms that are going to become filthy faster. Think of it like being at a concert. A lot of you, or to a bar or a restaurant where you know there's not enough bathrooms to accommodate the people that are there, they get dirty real fast. The HVAC, okay? For a commercial building, it's more of the cooling load than the heating load. Because at the end of the day, the more bodies you have in a room, you don't require as much heat because everybody produces a little bit of heat off their body. But the cooling is required even in wintertime. Sometimes the air conditioning is running because there's too many bodies in a given space and you have to cool down the space to be in a comfortable level. So in the wintertime, it might be okay, or it might be a little bit warmer than normal. But come the summertime, that HVAC system is not going to be able to keep up. You guys are going to sweat. You're going to be profusely sweating and be uncomfortable. So you're going to make your environment uncomfortable of not enough space, desks everywhere. You're not going to be able to pull your seat out because you're going to hit your neighbor. And your HVAC and the washrooms are not going to be able to keep up. On top of the travel, the commuting, the extra costs and everything else, Doug Ford is all about bringing costs down. So why is he putting policies in that are going to increase the cost, the frustration of everyday Ontarians? Like I said, he's not for the people, and he never was. He's just a stubborn bull that just cares about his feelings. And if someone says no, he gets upset with them. That's why you've got Patrick Brown, spineless as he is, will go along with whatever Doug Ford has to say. Yep, you want everybody back? That's what I'm going to do. Because I've got no spine, I'm going to do whatever you say, even though you're wrong. So this is not a great start to 2026 in terms of the average worker trying to lower costs, reduce stress and strain in everyday lives because we got enough of it as it is. I don't understand why Doug Ford has to add to it. Even the private companies don't want to give us a raise, but want to increase our cost of living through the products and services they sell, plus them forcing us back to the office 5 days a week and travel costs and everything else. So it will change back. I have faith. I know it will. But it's going to take work. We can't just wait and let it happen by itself. We have to work for it as individuals, as people. Even the politicians who believe, like Mississauga, that this is wrong, they have to continue to fight. Because there will be people like Doug Ford, Patrick Brown, and other people that are old school and will push back just because they're stubborn and don't want to be told that they were wrong. We're going to have to fight on the picket lines. We're going to have to fight individually if you're not part of a union by going to another company. And companies out there, when you're looking for talents, you just offer remote work and you'll get the best talent out there because they will leave the current job that they have, the ones that are not being taken care of. So take advantage of this. Anyways, that's it for me. Keep fighting. Don't let up. And we'll be able to go back to the way it was where things were working well. Anyways, guys, take care. We'll talk later.